I'm James Chow, host of the China Current.
And I'm Laura de Belgique, contributing editor.
COVID-19 has caused a pandemic that continues to devastate our planet. The original epicenter was in one city, then it soon ballooned into a crisis that has overwhelmed countries and healthcare systems.
It's also escalated from a health emergency in terms of infections and death to a large-scale humanitarian crisis with social and economic dimensions. Millions of people have lost their homes, lost their jobs, and lost their stability and future.
At the China Current, we've been tracking the virus since late January, its journey, its speed, and its magnitude. And now it's brought us to Africa, a region with 11% of the global population, yet more than 60% of all people living with HIV and AIDS. It also has 90% of the world's malaria cases, mainly children under the age of 5. But this is not the whole of Africa's story. Often painted as a continent in need, it has in fact much more to offer. It has vast populous cities with thriving cultural centres. It is home to more than 50 diverse countries with their own beliefs, faiths, languages, histories, cultures and climates. Africa's youth, from the villages to the cities, is creative, dynamic, engaged, talented and empowered.
On multiple levels, Africa represents the future of our planet, young people with a huge global impact. That is why how Africa approaches the threat of COVID-19 should matter to everyone. It's why I'm concerned, especially for sub-Saharan Africa. At the beginning of the outbreak, most people were focused on China, Europe, and the US. The international community paid little attention to Africa, a critical part of humanity, which now has over 200,000 confirmed infections. This could have huge ramifications, especially in countries trying to cope with poverty and fragile health systems.
Let's unpack some of the issues at stake. The World Food Programme says acute hunger will double globally by the end of this year. There's only 6 months to go till that deadline, and Africa won't be exempt. COVID-19 is disrupting food supply at every level. It could cause breaks in food supply chains, food shortages, and trigger food price spikes. It's also making it more complex for humanitarian agencies to reach the people who need it the most.
Specifically for Africa, the Global Nutrition Report 2020 points to a growing fragility of agricultural system that does undermine efforts to feed a huge regional population. But let's also talk about education, an area in which Africa is innovating solutions we can learn from. Like many parts of the world, schools are closed, with limited to no options for online learning from home. But in Ghana, you don't need to worry if you don't have a laptop or tablet. The government has rolled out Ghana Learning TV, a special series of broadcasts that brings learning to your home through the television. It's a directive from President Akufo-Addo, who with Germany's Angela Merkel and Norway's Erna Stolberg launched a global action plan last year to speed work on the Sustainable Development Goals.
That said, if you're at home, there's still the problem of food and nutrition. No matter where you live in the world, school often means a guarantee of 1 meal a day for millions of children. If you're not at school because of COVID-19, that guarantee has been taken out of your hands. But one day, when lockdowns ease up and children get back into school, what will happen then?
I think it's important to learn from other disease outbreaks. In the case of Ebola, when some schools were shut to stop the spread of the virus, the World Food Programme used rations to get children back into school and keep them there. In Sierra Leone, over 300,000 primary school children received rice, oil and beans in the most food-insecure parts of the country. This was really important, because even before Ebola, primary school enrollment was less than 70% and dropout rates were high. So maybe, as the world learns to live with COVID-19, we can actively reapply the lessons already learned.
This is the China Current. Thank you for watching. The China Current continues its special coverage on the coronavirus outbreak. Go to our social media at the China Current and our website for interviews, videos, and podcasts. I'm James Chow. Thank you.